Hi, Susan.
Hi, can you see me now?
You know what? Not yet, but I have an idea. What I will do, I'm going to start, I'm going to, I'm going to talk to you from my phone, but I will be watching on the computer. So I'll just mute it on the computer and I will just be listening in. So
Okay.
how is
I wonder why it's not working.
day? How is, oh, it's totally fine. You know, it's just there are always plan Bs. It's just the world, you know, things happen. But I can talk to you, and then what I will do is that I'm just opening our page on Instagram, and I'll be able to watch you from there. All right, so let's see. Oh, there you are. I see you now. Okay, wonderful. So it's funny, I have the phone next to the computer, and I can talk to you on the phone while I can see you on the computer. So to our listeners watching us live or watching the recording, this is Susan Player, the founder of Little Pigs at Home Sanctuary in the UK. I'm incredibly excited to talk to Susan. Susan is one of our honorary partners with the vegan, with Vegius, formerly the Vegan Stay. Incredibly excited to share her story and how she came to all of this. So Susan, so lovely to hear you. And by the way, I am a sucker for the UK accent, so it's going to be a full hour of listening to it. So thank you so much for the gift. Well, among many other gifts.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, absolutely. So I usually ask my guests is, when did you become vegan? And from the moment you became vegan to the moment you started the sanctuary, what kind of realizations or what kind of life lessons or learnings that have prompted that journey?
Well, originally we got 2 pigs. I'd always wanted pigs ever since I was a little girl. So we got 2 pigs in 2019, and I was a vegetarian at that point. And that came from my dad. He was a vegetarian, and that was even sort of before his time. So I was always brought up to respect animals. But when I got the pigs, what I didn't understand is just the whole concept of how dairy cows are treated and the horrors that they go through. I had no idea. I thought being a vegetarian was enough. But it's dairy industry is actually almost worse than the meat industry, or equivalent of. So I became vegan quite quickly because I was on a lot of groups. I was on a lot of sanctuary groups because I immediately fell in love with the pigs as soon as we got them. And I decided that I wanted to just always have pigs. And so I started going on Facebook groups, Instagram groups where there was sanctuaries where people were rescuing pigs, and I got a lot of knowledge from them. And I had a vegan friend as well, and she showed me a lot of videos, and she unveiled the truth about what was happening on dairy farms. I already knew a little bit about what was happening in the meat industry, and that was it. And I just decided to become vegan. I didn't want anything to do with it. And that was in the January. So we got the pigs in, I think it was October 2019. And by 2020, in January, I was vegan. And then it was after that that we decided to start a sanctuary, because at that point we just had the pigs as pets. So at that point, we had no intention of, to be honest, I didn't even realise there was farm animal sanctuaries that existed until I had pigs and started talking to people and started networking. I wasn't really aware of that world, or that it was even a necessity, because I didn't really have that much of a clue of the desperate need for farm animals to actually be rescued.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, you know, because so we have some of our partners or in fact, majority of them that, you know, just farm sanctuaries with all types of animals, and even the ones like, for example, Goatlandia and other sanctuaries that are focused on one animal. They actually have all kinds of other animals, But for pigs, let's talk about pigs for a moment. Pigs, many people see pig bacon, pig food The truth is that pigs are incredibly sensitive, clean. Well, when we call somebody pig in, the English language, we say, in fact, in many languages, we say that they're dirty. Well, in fact, pigs are incredibly clean, and a lot cleaner than dogs and cats and horse cats. Sensitive, sweet, intelligent. Tell us a little bit more about the kinds of things that you learned about pigs, being in touch with them day in and day out. So how would you describe a pig to a person who would say, tell me about pigs?
They're like enormous toddlers. So it's like having a giant 3-year-old running around. You can teach them so many things. They understand a lot more than they let on. They're incredibly intelligent. To be honest, I love dogs. I love all animals, but pigs actually make dogs look stupid because they're so much more intelligent. They can outwit you, they outsmart you all the time, and every single one of them has a completely different character. We've got 7 pigs, and obviously other sanctuaries, I know other people's pigs as well. They've all got completely different characters. You'll never get 2 pigs having the same characters. So what I say to people is, I say, that piece of meat on your plate had a character. They had a personality. And it's true. It's they are so lovable. They get in a mood. They hold grudges. They're incredibly sensitive. One of our pigs is very, very sensitive, and he went for me today when I was tucking him in. And I have to work full time to fund us, so that the it's on Airbnb as well. The caravan funds the sanctuary. So 100% of the profits go towards the sanctuary. So because I work full time, I'm not here all the time, and Tulip, he will actually get in a mood. He's very sensitive, and I went to tuck him in tonight, and he went for me because he was in a mood, because I hadn't been there. They're so funny, and they understand so much. They have more noises than many of the animals. Like, they have more noises than dogs and cats, and the reason is because they can express more. So Tulip, he can go from a deep growl to a tiny high-pitched squeak, and it's because they express so many different emotions, and they're just amazing. And just even the thought of them being used as meat is just it's just horrific. It's just, when I look at them, they're our babies. They respond to us. They play with each other. They just have mood swings. They're gorgeous. They are like 3-year-olds. That's the only thing I can describe them as, really, and they're very clean. They're very fussy. They know what they like. They like some foods. Pigs are notorious for overeating. They don't really know when they're full, but they'll have their likes and dislikes. So when I first had pigs, even though I'd always wanted them, I didn't actually understand or realise what... oh, hi, Ben. Sorry, that's my son.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben and Mary. I didn't actually realise what they were like. I just wanted them because I just loved, everybody has a favourite animal, don't they? And I just always loved pigs. But I had no concept of how you can completely fall in love with them. It just completely blew me away. And I think anybody a lot of people that have actually come to stay with us and have stayed in the caravan, when they've met them, some of them have only met them for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, because on the tour we take them around to see all the animals. And a lot of them have come back and said in the reviews, and said it's completely changed how they feel about eating meat. And a lot of people have stopped because they can't believe how we interact with them. Tulip likes to show off, so he does tricks, but it's not because we want him to entertain people. It's not for that reason. He loves it. He loves to show off. The others don't. They just like to be fast. But he likes to nod and turn round and do all sorts of tricks because that's just his character, and he loves it. So I think you have to to know them is to love them. And most people that I know that have pigs are blown away by them, and it completely changes their perception of them. But we absolutely love them, and everybody that's come here loves them as well.
And actually not very surprising. I mean, for me, not surprising to me, somebody like me, because I go to a sanctuary, I interact with pigs, you get to see them, they recognize their names. And it really, to me, really shows the degree to which this animal agriculture has gone, and how far we have come, that we lose contact so much with, you know, life around us, that people see, they don't even talk about bacon, you know, bacon. It's like you see a human being and then you would think, like, people will think a slave. At least with a slave, they don't eat them. Well, not that slavery is a good thing. Of course, it's a horrible thing. In fact, that's what we learned. It is how we treat animals. It just our ability for not being able to see is incredibly remarkable as for human beings. And I think this is one thing that sanctuaries, I have such a belief in the work of vegan animal sanctuaries like Little Pigs at Home, is because of this opportunity of education and transformation. And I cannot tell you how important that is. And so, Susan, I have a question for you. So when you started the sanctuary, so up to this point, so what are some of the challenges as a sanctuary, somebody who's a sanctuary founder? What are some of the challenges that you encounter? Well, first, overall challenges in just running a sanctuary. And the other one is day-to-day operations. And what are the things that you find particularly difficult to deal with, both emotionally as well as logistically? And then we'll talk about also things that inspire you. But, you know, I think it would be good to, so that our listeners really understand and appreciate. This is another thing that I always like to emphasize in the show, is that sanctuary work is real work taken by a very special breed of human beings, mostly women. I like always to emphasize, because it's just a fact. It's mostly women, people with incredibly high levels of intensity, emotional and spiritual intensity, empathy, and desire to take action, and resourcefulness. So please walk us through that, both big picture and small picture, some of the challenges that you run into as a sanctuary founder.
So one of the challenges was where we lived, and we started out the sanctuary, was land, getting enough room. In England, land is incredibly expensive. So we started off doing transport. So we traded the Audi in for a Land Rover, fundraised for a trailer, and we started transporting for sanctuaries, because sanctuaries are notoriously busy, and even if they can take in an animal, they don't actually have the time. So that's what we did at first, but we couldn't find any land. So land is a real problem, and space in England. So we eventually, long story short, found somewhere in Wales. We had to move 3.5 hours away from our family. So that's the challenge. That's a massive challenge. It might not be a challenge for everybody, but it could be a challenge for sanctuary owners if they have to move away from their family, because you're very isolated. Money is the obvious one. I mean, I have to now work full time so that the sanctuary can have the caravan income, and I'm not on the sanctuary every day, which is very, very difficult for me, because sometimes I go in the morning, come home, and they're all in bed, and I don't see them. My husband is here full time. He's disabled as well, so he runs a sanctuary full time, but he does work a little bit in Reading, so he has to go all the way back to Reading when he works a little bit to bring in some extra income. And we have one lady here that's amazing. She's our sanctuary helper. She goes off to do jobs and then comes back and to help us. So it's money and manpower, or woman power or whatever, people to help us basically. We have no volunteers at all. We did have volunteers, but unfortunately they had other commitments. So we have no volunteers. So it's myself, my husband, and it's Ellie. And she's absolutely amazing. Our neighbours help us a lot as well, but we can't expand. We can't go any further than we are. I mean, we've got 7 pigs, 3 ducks, 2 tortoises, 2 dogs, 2 cats and 5 sheep. 2 of the pigs are differently abled, which is a challenge, because somebody has to be with them constantly, and then we worry if one of them falls over, and things like that, but I can talk about the disabilities later. So volunteers are really, really hard to come by. And money is really, really hard to come by because we don't get paid for this. It's a massive cost. And each animal, I mean, the amount of times we're asked to take on pigs, and when they're saying, well, you've got room, and it's like, well, we have got room, but we'd have to have extra fencing. We have to have extra stalls, because one of the things we decided to do when we moved here was to do everything and give them the absolute best care. We're not just going to take on animals and just shove them in a field. That's not what we're about. They have to have excellent care of the highest standard. I mean, every single day I go out, when I go out there, when I'm here, we try and see how we can do things better. And as a sanctuary owner, you never feel that you're doing enough for the animals. You just don't. No matter what you do, it's like, but I need to do better. I could try harder. This needs to be better for them. You're always trying to make everything for them better. And because you just want them to be the happiest that they can possibly be and have the best quality of life they can possibly have, including veterinary care, which is another challenge. Veterinary care with farm animals isn't as good as domestic animals. And I say those terms lightly because I don't like using those terms, but that's the terms that people understand to describe the animals that you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What I didn't realise before I had pigs, but definitely before I ran a sanctuary, was the fact that farm animals don't get the highest quality veterinary care that we could provide. And that's because they're in the food chain. So a lot of the drugs they're not allowed to have. And because notoriously farmers can't and won't pay for medication and treatment, there isn't the advancement of technology to treat them. So we work very closely with Bristol University vets, and they're absolutely amazing to try and advance medicines and operations and treatments, because it's not just about not eating the animal, it's actually about farm animals' quality of life is way, way, way below domestic animals' lives. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I certainly didn't know that until I started doing this. So that's a challenge. So if any of the animals are ill, we have the extra worry and the extra burden of knowing that even if the drugs are out there, they may not be licensed to have them. And emergency treatment for farm animals is very, very difficult. You can't get them into a hospital. Vets do come out. I mean, we're very blessed and we have very, very good vets. But one of our pigs needed emergency treatment. She needed a blood transfusion and she needed to get to hospital. And they wouldn't take her because she was a pig, but they were taking dogs, and she actually passed away. And that was devastating. And we haven't really paid that. We never will. But it's purely because she was a farm animal. And I think that's the thing. I mean, when I speak to people about this, they have no idea. They say, I absolutely had no idea that was the case. But so the challenges are, I think, money, people to help us, and if they're ill emotionally, it's incredibly draining because you've got someone in front of you that you absolutely love. People that have dogs can relate to that, as much as you love your dog. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing that they will do about it. That has been a big challenge for us. But I think it's very tiring. The weather in Wales is interesting. That's been a challenge for us, the constant rain. And I think they're probably the biggest challenges. Actually, my husband's just walked in. He's here every day. What would you say your day-to-day challenges are, Aaron?
Hours.
Not enough hours in the day. There isn't enough hours in the day. The thing is, you go out and you think you've done a really hard day's work. You've done so many things on the sanctuary. You've mended this. You've got that done. You've cleared away that. You've done the hooves. You've cleaned out their ears. You've done all the water troughs. And you think, I've done so much today. I'm absolutely exhausted. I mean, the amount of times I've been to bed in my clothes because I just literally don't even have the strength to take them off. And then the next day you wake up and it's as if you didn't do anything the day before because you have to do it all again, and loads of stuff. It just, the amount of things you have to do that you don't even think of until you start is literally, it's never ending. And it's very weather dependent. You know, when you have, and it's very weather dependent. And unfortunately, when we moved here, we had a lot of problems with leaking roofs, drafty places, damp, all sorts of things. So we've had to overcome that. But that all boils down at the end of the day to money. If you have money, you can pay for these things to be done. If not, you have to constantly fundraise, and you're constantly chasing your tail with funds. I mean, the caravan rental is brilliant, but we don't have anyone staying in that caravan now until, I think we've got one night in December, and then we don't have any bookings until March, and we've got £400 in the account to run the sanctuary, and it costs more than £400 from now until March for everything. So it is really hard to just drive you. And not being able to take in pigs that desperately need us, that's a daily battle as well, because we constantly get asked. We do try and help rehome as many pigs as we possibly can for people, even transporting them sometimes. And Ellie will look after the sanctuary. In fact, we've got one coming up in January. We've got to drive to Scotland, which is a long way, hundreds of miles, but we can't get these pigs there any other way. So that's hard, seeing all the pigs that are in desperate need, and we just can't take them on because we would literally not be able to feed them, and we have to be really responsible about how many animals we take in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Susan, there's quite a bit in what you just said, and I really would like to unpack it a little bit, because there's a lot, and I would like to follow up on a few things. So one of the things is that one of our listeners says you are doing amazing, Susan, and she absolutely is. So one of the things is that the emotional price that these vegan sanctuary founders pay, they are the frontline soldiers or they are they are frontline first aid workers in a war. So it is a war. We have waged war on the natural world, on the animals, the animal kingdom for the last 10,000 years. I mean, from before with hunting and everything, but it was different. I mean, I think with the more domestication and the sort of, I think it sort of evolved. We were wild, they were wild, and we were part of the landscape. But then things changed after that, and in particular the last 100 years, I think it worsened significantly. People like Susan are the frontline aid workers. So they are face-to-face with human depravity, day in, day out. Susan just said to start a sanctuary, she has to go away, remove herself from her natural support network, which is the family. For all of us, that is the first line of defense. That is gone. So she would have to build something, you know, but with followers, and so that is gone. Now there is this extra job of, you know what, why don't you go, in addition to caring, educating, in addition to paying the emotional price of having to say no in situations that are incredibly hard, and with all the psychological price that comes with it. It's a real thing. And, you know, I really want to emphasize this. There is the beauty, there is the inspiration in this work, and there is the hardship. And this speaks volumes to the resilience and commitment of somebody like Susan. And then we ask them, on top of all of that, to raise funds at a time where this vegan economy is growing. More people are becoming vegans, yet sanctuaries and the people who made this possible in the first place are completely left out of the equation. So, and Susan, so this is one part. The other part you talked about is the logistics and the support. In a small way, I want to come through for you, and I invite everybody listening to you to do that. Starting January 2024, for right now, my resources are stretched because of the app we're launching, but still, I would like to make a commitment of at least $10 a month, at least, and become a member in your sanctuary and support your work. I will absolutely do more personally down the road, but for now I'm trying, because I'm trying to support as many sanctuaries as I can. But not just that, I try to make a concrete commitment, and joining sanctuaries in terms of donations, monthly donations, is a lifeline. But not just that, it is, you join in, you become a family member. When you adopt a sanctuary in a particular sanctuary, you get connected directly to the animal, to that sanctuary. You know, in some sanctuaries, you give a donation and the love is spread around. And in other places, you have opportunity to sponsor a particular animal. Either way, it's amazing. And of course, with Vegius, our app that will be launching, will have stays, not just stays, we will have events and all kinds of things. And whether it's a sanctuary owned or not sanctuary owned, sanctuaries like Susan's will be receiving up to 50% of the service fee. And we wish to do more, but for now, with all the restrictions on the business that we can do, and then at least it is a start to recognize the amazing work that they do, and we want to create a landscape or a structure or a platform that sort of gives back to them at least part of the incredible work they have been doing. And not because they asked, they didn't. And if they ever ask, it's all was for animals, because they deserve it, and I absolutely believe in that. So I just wanted to discuss this few things with you, Susan, and because what you said is there's lots of topics all happening at the same time, and I absolutely encourage our listeners, please follow them on social media. You see the handle on top, Little Pigs at Home. Follow them on social media, like their content, make donations, join membership, and then also, as I said, with the app, one of our goals is, with every transaction that we do, when we send a thank you email to whoever participated in it, we introduce the sanctuary that they help support with the service fee, and then we will try to drive membership and all of that. It's going to take some time, but we have already taken the first decisive steps, and we will absolutely continue to do this. And the reason is that the kinds of things that Susan just shared, very special breed of human beings that are absolutely worthy and deserving of all of our support. So Susan, these things are incredibly touching, and I'm incredibly happy that you're opening up and sharing all this with us.
Thank you very much.
No,
thank you.
Absolutely. So Susan, now tell me some of the most inspiring, uplifting things that you have learned from pigs. Other animals, but pigs in particular. So you look at a pig and something sweet, or tell us some of the quirks, personal quirks of some of the pigs that you wake up in the morning and you see, like, oh, there he goes again, there she goes again.
Okay, so, well, they're all different. So Charlotte, is she the oldest one that we have?
No, I think Poppy is. Poppy's the oldest.
If your husband, if it's okay, if you would like to join us, it would be lovely. I mean, if he wants to.
Hi.
We'd love to meet. Hi. What's your name?
Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, very nice to meet you. And it's, there is the saying that says, behind every great man, there is a woman. I think it should be behind every great woman, there is a man.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about Tulip and his quirks. He likes to show off. He likes an audience. He doesn't like change. So if anything changes, he gets in the mood. Bluebell Bear, she came to us incredibly obese, and her tummy was dragging on the ground, and she used to wet the bed. Her skin was so tight on her because she was so big. She'd been fed white bread and licorice all sorts and kept in this very small pen. It wasn't cleaned out, just hay upon hay upon hay and straw, dirty water. And seeing her every day, literally every day is a pleasure seeing her, because she had a tummy tuck at Bristol University, which was a groundbreaking operation. They'd never done it before, because when she lost the weight, we managed to get her weight down to half her body weight, but her tummy was still dragging on the floor and she was treading on it. So they said, we'll do the operation. She had a health check. She was in really good health. She went and had it done. Now, it's been a really long journey with her, but now she won't wee or poo inside. She wouldn't dream of it. Her tail's always wagging. She's happy. She even runs. She actually runs around the field. She does things that pigs should do. And she's the boss. She's the boss lady now. So she's gone from literally being at death's door to being the boss lady. And she actually bosses Tulip about. Tulip used to be the boss, and now she's the boss. And she gets everyone in line. And it's just such a pleasure. She's a bit antsy with other pigs because she wants to be the boss, but with humans, she's the most loving, affectionate, beautiful girl. And you know what? When we blow raspberries on her, she laughs. She actually laughs.
Oh, it's so adorable.
It was the other day, I just blew a raspberry on her because I was really cuddling her, and she actually laughed. She's just the most gorgeous, affectionate girl ever, and she's just having the best life now. She's just so happy. Her best friend is Charlotte. Charlotte is quite old now, and she just likes to stay in under the heat lamp. She just likes to chill out. She'll go out to do the toilet, and then she comes back, and she just likes to her home comforts now, which is fine. They can come in and go out whenever they want. Hippo is lovely. He's a differently abled pig, so it means that if he lays down or he gets knocked over by one of the other pigs, he can't get up. So we have to be incredibly careful if it rains or if it's sunny or anything like that, because he can't be left. So he physically can weight bear once he's up, but he can't physically get up from laying down. So, and he's like a grumpy old man in the morning. We go and get him up, and he literally grumps until he's... So Tulip screams to get out in the morning. It's like he's like, sometimes when we have guests, it's like, we wonder what's happening with that pig, and I'm like, oh, he's really dramatic. He's like a real drama queen. He's a bit of a diva. He'll scream to get his own way. We've spoilt him a bit, so.
And it's just in case someone else has a sound up more than he does, or a great
Oh, that is so funny. Yeah.
Have the most, and that's it.
He literally stomps about. So yeah, they're all, I mean, Poppy is our big, beautiful girl. She's a big, very, very big.
She's about half a ton, roughly. She's a Welsh saddleback, which is one of the biggest breed of pigs.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow, 500 kilograms. Wow. That's 1,000 pounds.
Yes.
Wow.
She is Daddy's girl. Wow. She got in a mood that she was having fusses with Daddy, and I went in the pen, and she wouldn't ever go for me, I don't think, but she did kind of growl at me as if to say, I'm having fusses, can you move? So she's a real Daddy's girl. And then we have Frankie Bloomers. He squeaks. He's a real squeaker, and he doesn't want to be with the pigs. He wants to be with the sheep. So we've given him that option. So he lives with the sheep, and he loves that. And yeah, he just goes around squeaking. He sounds a bit like a chimpanzee. But yeah, they've all got, and then we've got Joey, little man Joey. He's our most recent rescue. He's very disabled physically, and he's just being assessed at the moment. So we're just about to introduce him to the others, and was very, very scared of us when we first brought him in. But
the previous people that had him, basically, when I went and picked him up, they basically said, oh, he doesn't like being touched. He doesn't want anyone around him. He hates people. All the standard stuff you get from someone that's not treating the animal particularly well. Second we got here, you could see the fear in his eyes. That was the worst thing with Joey.
Yeah.
You could actually see the fear in his eyes just looking at humans.
It was heartbreaking.
Wow.
Literally broke.
Yeah, wow.
I mean,
trauma.
Pictures even see it in the pictures. But now he comes up to us.
And goes over for belly rubs.
Occasionally he gets. Occasionally you can see it in his eyes. He's a bit wary, so we're very, very careful. But but yeah, he's doing really well, and he's got his own character. He's very friendly now, but you get the occasional thing with him where you just have to stand back and just let him come to you.
Boy,
yeah,
give him the space. Oh, absolutely. You know what you guys just shared, this is another thing that I think sanctuaries are very vital for doing, and that's why by starting the Vegius app and wanting to expand it, and so that we hopefully get to lower their financial burden so that they spend more time on doing exactly this. Because when people come to a sanctuary, even of course particularly non-vegans, familiarity with these animals shows them these are people. These are people, and they are non-human, but they're people. They are individuals. They are not bacon. I mean, because as far as animal agriculture is concerned, there is no plan for their lives, and their life is of no interest. They try to get them as quickly as possible to be as fat as possible, and then of course there is that all genetic manipulation that happened over the last century or so. And then the plan for them is to die as babies. And I don't think many people actually realize what they eat, because what they eat are actually babies. They are like as if some powerful alien species that comes here and subdues us and no beings and start eating human babies because they're delicious. And the rest of us, they're not interested. They have no interest in us. They have no interest to get to know us or anything. And it is exactly the moral equivalent of that. And having exactly the kinds of stories that you're telling, and having people come to sanctuary visits when that is possible, and getting to know sanctuaries as individuals, it becomes incredibly hard for animal agriculture to do what it does, because empathy is so corrosive to injustice. And that's why when people want to go to war with other people, dehumanizing them and bringing them to the level of animals is what they always do. The level of animals in the way they are understood culturally. I wish they did in the way that animals really are, because then we can have even more empathy for them. But the way that animals are regarded culturally, and that's why I think sanctuaries have this amazing opportunity if somebody takes that chance on them and then empowers them, or they help empower them, because they're empowering themselves all the time, but contribute to that. I think the transformation and the benefits on everybody in the world can be amazing. And I just want to reemphasize to our listeners, this is Susan and Aaron Player from the co-founders of the Little Pigs at Home Sanctuary in the UK. Incredibly happy to be hosting them today on Tales from Vegan Animal Sanctuaries from around the world. Faik Bouhrik, the founder of the Vegius. The app is going to be launched very soon, by the end of this month, and the official one after we do all the testing on the beta version. Susan, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Because it froze on the image froze, but I'm very glad that you guys can still hear me. So as I said, and it's going to be our ultimate aim is to make the landscape a little bit more just, a little bit more sanctuary founder friendly, because I think the arrangement that is made right now in the economic landscape is that they are sort of worked incredibly hard to make this opportunity possible, yet they are left out completely of the equation, and I think that is profoundly bankrupt and profoundly counterproductive for the movement and for a better world. And as I was saying, please follow them. Please like that content. Please become donors. I personally will become a member in the sanctuary starting January 2024. So please consider all these options, because sanctuaries are vital. I mean, donors and volunteers are the lifeline of sanctuaries. Susan, I have one more question for you and Aaron. How can people volunteer? And are volunteer opportunities remotely a possibility? Can somebody, let's say, for me, I'm a mathematics, physics professor, I'm good with numbers. Would that give me an opportunity to support you in some way, in that way, if I want to volunteer at the sanctuary remotely? Because I live in California, so it's not a possibility to come in person.
Yeah, it would be very possible. We've got one person at the moment, actually, or two people. They are fundraising for us. They are doing a raffle. I think it's like a kind of raffle with some vegan Christmas baubles for a tree. And basically, they've taken all the work out of it. They just said, this is the picture of the baubles, this is what we're going to do. And they are doing, and we've got a fundraising page as well that runs alongside the main Facebook page. And they just go on that. I share the content, and they're just doing it, which is massively helpful to us. And then another lady, she did a fundraiser for us. She just did a Christmas fair. She just said, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing a Christmas fair tomorrow. And then she just raised £100 for us. We didn't have to do a thing. I just put it on Facebook, what she was doing, and Instagram, what she was doing. And she just did she just took it all the groundwork, because the problem is we have the ideas. Like, we want a website. We don't have a website, and we can't afford to pay to get a website. There's so much administration and all sorts of things that people could do remotely, because we have so many ideas, but we don't have the time to implement them. So it's not that we're out of ideas. It's just that we literally physically don't have the time. I mean, from the moment we get up in the morning to the moment we go to bed, even when I'm at work, when I come home, I'm doing stuff. I do stuff in my lunch break, my breaks at work. I don't stop doing stuff for the sanctuary, but there's only enough hours in the day. And also, we're constantly asking people to volunteer on our Facebook page as well. And we list all the things that people could help with, like fundraising, administration, website design, anything like that, really. We've also had a lady that did our logo for free, Drink Me Designs. That was amazing. She just volunteered to do us a logo, because this was originally our logo, but it was quite basic. Aaron did it. He did an amazing job, but it was quite basic. We wanted it a little bit more professional that could go on T-shirts and things like that. So she did that for us. But it's about people coming forward and saying, this is my skill, this is what I can do for you, would you like me to do it? And most of the time it's, yes, please, whatever it is. So I always say to people, whatever skill you have, if you think you can do something that would be helpful, please come forward and offer it, because we don't know what each individual, what their skills are. So it doesn't necessarily have to be coming here and physically being here. There's loads of things that, remotely can be done. Also, we do have sponsorship packages as well. We did a few last Christmas. We also have merchandise that we sell. But again, we have merchandise that we sell, but I don't have the time to put it up on Facebook to sell it. So it would take someone else to take pictures of it and do that. So there's just so much that can be done. But it's just grasping people's giftings and skills.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you just said something that's incredibly important about that kind of support. And in fact, this is some of the things we were planning on the app. So it's going to go in stages. So initially, the first stage in January 1st, it's going to include stays, events, and then meetups. And then after that, we're going to add services and all kinds of things, and including connecting volunteers worldwide to sanctuaries virtually. So there will be exactly the kind of thing that you just described, because the app is not only a place to solve economic problems and make donations to sanctuaries, but to provide all kinds of logistical support for sanctuaries. So what you described is absolutely pertinent and is absolutely in the agenda. And then we are going to try to make it happen in 2024. And not just that, I personally would love to have a team. We just have a paid team on standby just to help sanctuaries like yours. So a website over here, a page over there, a crowdfunding campaign over here, different kinds of things they'll be able to help with. It's all of these things is in the making. It's just going to take a few months for us to few months to the first year to rule them out one at a time. And as I was just saying, because it's going to take some working on some logistics, but supporting sanctuaries, and particularly having these lives with sanctuaries have been incredibly informative. I volunteer at sanctuaries myself. I go to Animal Place. That is the one that's have had commitment since when I became vegan. But I go to other sanctuaries whenever I visit. I love to contribute in that way, and then or even remotely, become a member. And I would absolutely think what you just described and implementing it and giving it some structure would be incredibly vital. And we will absolutely work on making that happen in 2024. So Susan, give us some of your final thoughts before we leave. What you wish to happen at your sanctuary in 2024, and what kind of message would you like to send to people who are listening to us either live or on the recording? And in fact, I just see that's Jamie. Hi, Jamie. Jamie is a friend of mine. She works for a nonprofit in the United States that works with animals. An incredibly inspiring person, and in fact, she worked with us and she did some content from a sanctuary. And so, Jamie, I'm talking to Susan Player and her husband Aaron. They are the founders of Little Pigs at Home Sanctuary in the UK. So Susan and Aaron, could you please share with us some of your final thoughts as we close up about 2024 and how the year is looking to you, and some of the things that you see happening in the world in this space of running a sanctuary and working with animals?
I think in 2024, I would like to be released of some of the work so I could be on the sanctuary more and just implement some of my ideas. And I'd just say to anyone that's watching, you don't have to be a sanctuary founder to be part of it. If you just join the Vegan Style VGS and just follow them, because what they're doing is absolutely amazing, and it's groundbreaking, really, and it's going to help sanctuaries all over the world so much, not just in one country but in so many countries. It's just going to be absolutely fundamental for vegans and people that love animals to follow them and support them. And we found that our supporters are as much part of Little Pigs at Home, we call them Team Pig, as we are. So without do our job. So without supporters, without people supporting us and people in other sanctuaries, sanctuaries wouldn't exist without that support. So you are as much part of the family as we are. Just because we've actually had the privilege to be able to start a sanctuary, it doesn't mean that it stops with us. It's about a family, it's about a team. It takes a village. So yeah, I think what you're doing, Faik, is absolutely amazing. Thank you. Just, we'll support you all we can as well. But yeah, we just want to provide the best care, educate people, and we can't do that on our own. None of us can. Absolutely. No, absolutely. And people like you absolutely inspire me. You are, as I was saying, the frontline first aid workers in a war that does not stop, in a war that's ceaseless, doesn't even recognize that it's a war. It's a war that's not even aware that it's a war. People like you absolutely inspire me, and I think there is an amazing opportunity for us to come as a global community, bound by empathy, by compassion. And it's not only because it is good and it's important in its own right. I have no clue how humans are going to continue in the path that we have charted for ourselves. That path can lead only to one place, the abyss. Yeah. It's the only place. I don't see it going anywhere else. But we have a chance to define the landscape in such a way that we recognize the people that are doing this incredibly transformative and important work. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm incredibly happy that we got to share this. Quite a few people stopped by today for parts of the show, and I'm incredibly happy because this is usually early morning here. And there will be quite a few people usually listening to this to the recording. And I cannot wait to have another one. And next time, hopefully, we get to visit with the animals, and we get to have Aaron to join us for the whole hour. But as I said, Susan, I'm incredibly honored to become a member of the sanctuary.
and to be joining you in January formally. Well, we already are joined, but I would love to be a contributor, as I said, and I wish I could do a lot more, and I will do my absolute best to do as well as I can. But being connected with Sanctuary in that way is a very, very special opportunity, and I highly encourage every single person to consider it. So thank you to the both of you for joining us, and thank you so very much for everything that you do. And as I said, what you said is about the logistics support. That is very, very well received, and I hear you, and it's absolutely vital, and we will make it happen. We'll work on it step by, we will eat away at it one step at a time, and we will do it, and we will do it together. Take amazing care of yourself, and happy holidays, and I cannot wait to talk to you both sometime very, very soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Faik.
Absolutely, my absolute pleasure. And in fact, to visit, I'm really looking forward to visiting the UK and Europe, Western Europe, and I would love to. I will let you know ahead of time, and I will make a reservation, and I will stay with you at least for maybe 3 or 4 days, and I would love to volunteer at the Sanctuary and get to visit with you and get to visit with a very special guest that you have at home.
It'd be so lovely to have you. And what I always say is, Team Pig, I said, we'll be the hands and the feet, but hands and feet need a body of people to function.
Absolutely. So, absolutely.
And we love it.
Yeah, absolutely. We will absolutely make all of it happen. It's, we have a lot more power sometimes than we think that we have. And all we need is just to exercise it wisely, compassionately, empathetically, but also decisively. And then we will define a world that works for all of us. Take great care, have happy holidays, and I cannot wait to talk to you both virtually and in person, and we'll make it happen. Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who listened to this, please act on what I was talking about in terms of joining, following them, volunteering your time. You can reach out directly to them, or you can contact me and I will connect you virtually, in person. Very, very special organizations doing incredibly special work, and pigs are very, very special, and we have heard what Susan and Aaron shared with us, but I think many more people can really benefit from hearing this kind of message. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will connect with you soon. Bye.